So I'm actually really excited. You guys have gotten me to my first 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. And if you haven't seen my thank you video, go see that. I'll put a link down below. Whoa. Slippery, sloppy crap here. Whoa, there's my shoe. Almost lost my shoe. But like I said, you guys, it's because of you guys that I have 1,000 subscribers. And I'm just going to keep on doing what I do. I love doing this. I absolutely love sharing this. I'm really dark right now. Sorry about that. I absolutely love sharing the subject with you guys. I love plants, and I want people to learn more about them. I also want people to get outside more and become healthier. Another thing I really enjoy doing is getting you up close and personal with these plants in a way that most people don't do. I'm just doing a little bit of hiking today. It's kind of a nice day out. It's about 50 degrees outside. The wind is blowing anywhere from 10 to 20 miles an hour, just depending. So it gets kind of chilly. Everything is wet. Everything is absolutely soaking. The ground is thoroughly saturated, so it's slippery as can be. Thankfully, we have some decent trails here. Here, I thought I'd show you guys these really old oyster mushrooms. You can see how old these things are. They're soggy. Everything is absolutely soaking wet today. It has been raining pretty much non-stop for about the past 2 weeks. But if we come over here, you can see some more of these mushrooms here. And if we get up close and personal, you can see the forked gills and you can see the stereotypical growth pattern of the oyster. So I thought I'd show you guys that. And look at this huge monstrosity. This thing is absolutely huge. I am not sure what kind of mushroom this is, but my God, this thing is big. This thing is absolutely big. Here's my shoe for comparison, so you can get an idea. I wear a size 11.5. And these are skate shoes, so these things are much bigger than your normal shoe. And hey, my shoe's untied. How about that? Another thing that's really interesting, if we come over here and I don't get stuck by this briar, is here you guys can see these leftover sacks. These are the leftover sacks from pear-shaped puffballs. The pear-shaped puffballs grow on logs. The gem-studded puffball, which I actually did an identification video on last year, grows out of dirt. This is a relative to the giant puffball that people normally gather from lawns and grassy areas. And it is edible as well. Obviously not in this stage, but when you want to treat it the same way as you would a normal puffball. Oh, that's a big hole. That's a big hole. Ow. Ow. And then here, what we got? And here it looks like we actually have a really old cluster of possibly some sumac berries. I'm not sure exactly if these are, but they do look to be about the right size and about the right shape for a sumac. What a sumac is doing here in this part of the woods, I'm not quite sure, but there are some here. And you can see these interesting little mushrooms. I'm not sure what these are. Now a lot of mushrooms I'm not sure of and I try not to worry about unless I know for 100% fact that it's edible. If we look down this log, you can see all those empty sacks left over from the pear-shaped puffball as it was growing on this log. Now another good thing to know about that is that we can actually come back during the fall and there will be actual puffballs there because they grow on the same tree every year. They have a saprobic nature, which means that they actually form a relationship with the tree itself. And this tree is just absolutely rotten. I mean, look at this. Look how rotten this tree is. Look at all this. Here you can see a very good up-close look of mycelium. These little white hair-like strands are actually the mycelium of mushrooms that have formed the saprobic bond with this tree. So that's really interesting to see. That is a very, very good example. I'll try to get as close as I can here so you guys can really see this stuff. There you can see all of that, and It reeks of mushrooms right now. It absolutely reeks of mushrooms. So let's continue onward, shall we, and see what else we find today. It's been an interesting day. There is some yarrow leaves. There are some very young yarrow leaves that are growing up in a field, probably about 200 yards that direction. Here we can see the beautiful needles of a white pine. This is a very young white pine. It's not even waist high yet. But this is a great white pine, and this would be delicious for tea. And then right behind it you can see some of the jelly ear fungus that we have here. These things are absolutely fun to just kind of sit here and play with like this. I love doing it. I love the way they jiggle. They remind me of Jell-O. The trail I'm on is actually about a 10-mile trail. It pretty much just makes a circle around the place that I'm in right now. And I'm not walking all of it today because I just simply don't have time. However, I might actually turn back around so I can show you guys the yarrow that's growing in that clearing. Because I do know this trail does go a ways. It kind of follows this creek. There's actually another creek right over there on the other side of that little knoll. So there's two creeks come together and they make a confluence, or a junction if you will. And then it runs into a larger creek that just follows this bottom land. And this trail kind of parallels that. And then the trail continues this way to parallel the creek, and then it goes up a hill. So we'll see what we see down here, and then I'll decide whether I'm going to turn around. I just almost lost my shoe right there. That is really, really soggy. Watch out for stuff like that when you're walking in the woods this time of year. And I actually decided to turn back around so that way I can show you guys the yarrow that's up in the field, in the clearing. There's also a couple other things that I'm going to talk to you guys about. So stay tuned and I'll catch back up with you guys when we get there. Here you guys can see what I was talking about, how yarrow leaves are available throughout most of the year. If I move these leaves, you're going to see the basal leaves of yarrow, and you can see these very fine, delicate, almost feather-like leaves. And there you guys can see the very fine detail of these leaves. These are extremely tiny. As you can see, my fingers are here in frame, and they are so tiny. But if you look closely, you can find several of them. If you really just stop and look. That's all you've got to do, is you got to be very careful. You've got to walk slow. And you've got to look in places that you may not expect to find anything. Because as you can see, we've got this little guy tucked in right here in this mess of stuff right here. Here we can see another leaf of yarrow. And there are all kinds of yarrow plants right here in this area. If I come over here just a bit, you can actually see where they've even been stepped on. And you can see these leaves, some are dead, some are dying, and some are just coming in. But this just goes to show that this time of year, especially in the middle of winter, whenever the ground is thawing and then freezing and then thawing and freezing, there's going to be a lot of plants that are thinking it's time to grow. You can see this yarrow is already getting started. So you can see just how much yarrow is actually here. And some of these leaves may not be able to be picked up by my camera, but there are all kinds of yarrow plants here. So you've just got to be very careful where you're walking and make sure that you're looking at the ground and that you're not stepping on anything, because you never know where a plant's going to be growing. Now, and here you guys can see some of the leftover flower clusters from a mint. This is one type of mint. I don't know which kind this is because I didn't see this earlier in the year, and it doesn't have any smell because it's obviously very dead. However, you can see these flower clusters and what's left of them in this beautiful white color that they have. I can tell it's a mint just because it has this square stem, and that's one of the easiest ways to tell that you have a plant in the mint family, is just to look at its stem and to see if it's square or round. Alright, so that pretty much does it for this little vlog. I thank all of you guys for coming along. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something. I thank all of you guys for your comments, your feedback, and your subscriptions. They really do mean a lot to me. Hopefully this year we'll have plenty more videos coming, And again, just stay tuned, and I thank you guys for watching.